All right, very warm welcome. Game number 2 of this series between Vaempyress and Jim Bob the Mighty. Jim Bob taking game number 1. It was a game that went back and forth quite a bit. Vaempyress with a very strong scientist start. Jim Bob coming back into it, and we might have to start calling these Philothanic maps because this is a Zoltar map, folks.
Yeah, there's, I don't know, I'm looking around and I still haven't found where I'd think of founding yet. Probably somewhere up in the north where this iron is and water, but
yeah, there's ice there too.
Far,
Looking
I
pretty
guess.
Attractive.
There is some, this right to the northwest of the colony. You have some iron, some water, and some aluminum. That's where I'd be looking right now. I haven't found any better founding location than probably the iron to the... That's where Vaempyress takes. The problem with the iron on the other side of the map is it's nowhere near any other resource.
HQ has been founded.
Ooh, a scavenger from Jim Bob, which feels a little dodgy to me just because there are nukes on the map. It's only a single medium and a single low that he's going to be working off, at least for the time being. So if Vaempyress spots that, she can get a nuke down onto that medium carbon. She will have the... in fact, she won't have the first black market cooldown, of course, because Jim Bob found it second. So maybe Jim Bob can defend that, but it's going to be expensive.
It will be expensive, but it's an expense that he has to take. He is first to HQ, number 2, immediately going into double water. Water is high, so that makes sense. Jim Bob, 4 seconds, he needs to come up with 3k to pick up this goon right here, right now, as his black market is online.
Definitely doesn't have it right now. Neither does Vaempyress, though. So Vaempyress not having the cooldown, obviously, for another 30 seconds, and not having the money for the goon, for the nuke either. So both players do get to HQ2, and that move into water does make a lot of sense. That'll be quick cash for Jim Bob that he really needs right now. And Vaempyress, a little bit indecisive about what to do with her claim. She goes double solar condenser, and just in time for night. Yeah, that doesn't feel as good as maybe the medium and the low water that were available at the top of the map. Now then, black market cooldown for Vaempyress. Is she going to do anything with it?
Adds 5k in the bank, should sell down out of the steel, turn this medium nuke into a trace, and Jim Bob's going to be there.
Oh, and Jim Bob goes with the nuke instead, so nuking out the iron of Vaempyress. And yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, I can see that, like, nuking the iron, that's pretty strong. But I mean, if your opponent hasn't nuked you, it kind of alerts them to the fact that nukes are on the map, and then it's just a no-brainer for Vaempyress to go into that and nuke the carbon out, which she does.
Maybe Vaempyress didn't notice that there were nukes on the map until just then, but very risky move by Jim Bob. If you've gotten that far with a critical tile not being nuked, you probably should goon it.
The black market is open.
Yeah, you certainly should goon it. Not many prices right now, as Peasant points out in chat. Jim Bob has the upgrade to HQ3.
Vaempyress did wait long enough on that nuke so that Jim Bob had enough carbon to get to HQ3.
This is an interesting power play from Vaempyress, and this might work if she can protect this power. She's got the 2 wind turbines, is going to be making power money fairly soon with those. Jim Bob not going into any power just yet, is now going to put down the wind turbine, but a little bit late on that one. But again, Vaempyress, like we saw last game, needs to protect those wind turbines, really needs to find the 3k for those goons, and until, really with everything that she has, until she pays off all of that debt, she's really not going to be making any money at all. So it might be that Vaempyress is unable to get those wind turbines protected, and this time she's not a scientist, this time she's robotic, and that's going to be a long freeze if it comes in with the EMP from Jim Bob.
Bob going into 3 wind turbines right now. That is all of his carbon. He has no more carbon, only coming in at 3 a second off of these double lows. Usually not enough carbon for a scavenger. It's going to make any buildings that Jim Bob builds and any transitions super expensive.
Yeah, I mean, it's slow game in general, so it might be okay. Oh, this doesn't feel good to me from Jim Bob. This I guess one of the tiles is a water pump. With these wind turbines, and yeah, again with the
dynamite instead of the EMP.
With the EMP available, it feels like that might have been a mistake. The other thing that does, of course, with Vaempyress going to be repairing that quite soon, as it drives the price of carbon up yet further for Jim Bob. But then again, Vaempyress doesn't have the money to repair this right now. Needs 3.8 thousand, doesn't have that yet.
Yeah,
And again, no
she's-
prospect at all of her making any money in the short term with prices as they are and with that debt.
Right, Jim Bob's the only one making money. On-world moved into double farms and a single black magic electrolysis reactor.
Yep, I mean, it's not great, but it might be okay. And something else I didn't notice as well that Rahi's pointed out in chat, Vaempyress took that auction for that iron tile, which feels like a big mistake. She was close to making power money, but now no real chance of that whatsoever.
Yeah, just if you're going to go for power money, you really can't afford to take any auctions. And the other thing is, she's not making any money from these steel mills. She's actually losing potential power money. Would you turn those off instead?
Yeah, really needs to at this point.
I mean, they're losing
and
$12.
yeah, it is strictly worse than keeping them on at this point, because not only is it wasting power and contributing to debt that way, it is losing money on the steel as well. So it's a double hit for Vaempyress that she's losing. Finally, she does turn them off and is going to get some of that iron money instead. But even so, Jim Bob pretty far ahead at this point, does have those wind turbines up, is killing the power market.
Gets the
Which is
upgrade.
going to help him upgrade to HQ4. And I wonder what he'll do
Water.
with that upgrade. More water, yeah, he needs it.
Is online.
He does need it for that life support market. Water is rising a little bit. We're going to get a carbon shortage soon as well, which, I mean, that's a double-edged sword for Jim Bob. It means his upgrade is that much more difficult, but it also means he's going to have access to a bunch of money in the short term. And to be completely honest, he's 2 HQs ahead of Vaempyress, and that might just be enough
Yes.
to end this game at some point in the not too distant future.
Not to mention an
Oh,
EMP, which
big
he
auction.
just purchased. And then circuit overloads.
Yeah, circuit over. It's not actually going to be huge, just because power has crashed pretty much. Vaempyress really needing at some point to rotate out of that wind turbine, because that's not going to be doing him any good at all. And there is the EMP. That is extremely painful on the solar condenser, so no water money today for Vaempyress. They were making decent money, 130 or so a tile. They're now not making 130 a tile. And Jim Bob, with those life support claims going into the electrolysis, as well as the 2 farms, he's looking like it's going to be quite straightforward for him to make money.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to see how Vaempyress can get back into this game at this point. 2 HQs behind as a robot against the scavenger. He does have the upgrade to HQ3, which she takes. No point in debating on that one. The question is, what does she do with her claims, as she can't actually afford to build any buildings, production buildings anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it really has to be steel mills, doesn't it, at this point? But it just doesn't feel good, because steel isn't making any money. It's only the iron, maybe another metal mine and 2 steel mills, something like that. I think is what she probably needs to do. But again, it's so easy at this point for Jim Bob to shut this production down with the black market. He's got an EMP stored already. He's going to have another cooldown in 20 seconds or thereabouts, and he's got the money to use it. It's quite straightforward for him if he wants to control Vaempyress' production to do that. Vaempyress still not using 2 of those claims, still has that iron tile, which he paid 10k for in the northeast. Not doing anything with that right now, and is going to go into triple iron, which... maybe it's just and a steel mill as well. So she did she switch around that iron? I don't know. That doesn't feel like it was. It was the
wasn't
best.
worthwhile to switch around the iron simply because, I mean, mines don't cost anything to switch, but it is 10 seconds or whatever of not mining time.
Vaempyress going into that elemental quarry. Jim Bob has a nuke in his stockpile. I wonder if he's going to see that quarry and think that's a juicy target for a nuclear explosion device.
Yes.
There it is. It's a trace carbon tile now, and that's a completely wasted claim from Vaempyress. In the end, did have the goon purchase, just didn't put it on there.
Yeah,
A scavenger HQ has been upgraded.
And Jim Bob getting to HQ5.
I am a crippling network virus.
didn't quite have the income at HQ4 to get the job done. It would have been a long, painful process, so just to make that
Yeah.
buy. So I think upgrading to HQ 5 does make sense. Put down some more life support buildings. Just earn some more money.
Yeah, and this carbon is, I mean, it is a really good thing for Jim Bob at this point because it's $120 carbon and he's getting 3 per second. They are very good money-making tiles as well as enabling his production too. And yeah, more life support for Jim Bob. That's where the money is. You look at these prices on the left-hand side. It's food, it's fuel, it's all of the life support. It's not really a whole lot else. He is getting 2 aluminum claims in the southeast. He's had them for a while, and that feels like a big overcommitment. They really need to be wind turbines, I think, at some point. And again, there's the circuit overload does bounce, so that's something for Vaempyress, but again, you'd rather that have been a dynamite or something like that you can use back. And yeah, the circuit overload on the wind turbines. Power's at 35, though. It's neither here nor there, really.
Yeah, she's not going to pay off her debt with power at 35.
Jim Bob slowly ticking up in terms of the amount of money he has. He is auto-selling his life support resources, which maybe not the thing to be doing. There is the prospect maybe of those raising, although there's not a whole lot of demand. Honestly, Vaempyress is a robot, so it might be that auto-selling it for the quick cash is okay. And yeah, the EMP comes down immediately as Vaempyress tries to transition into greenhouse farms. Jim Bob is like, nope, that's my market. I'm gonna EMP you over and over. And there's 3k slowdown strikes on the black market as well. So plenty of tools for him to use to shut down Vaempyress's production.
Yeah, we're just sitting here waiting for Jim Bob to scrape enough cash to be able to purchase into Vaempyress. He is almost 50 now. Nope. Decides to build into something. Not quite 50% of the way there, but getting closer. Some more greenhouse farms.
Yeah, and he's just got all of his money parked in electronics, which is very sensible. It's a very safe market for him to be in. The demand from the colony is raising that price, albeit very slowly. But they are appreciating in value just a little bit. 60k now for those electronics, and we are very close, I think, to the point at which Jim Bob is going to have enough money to go into Vaempyress. I'm a little bit surprised we haven't seen a hacker array. I think that might have been a quicker way to end this game, but I think, to be completely honest, it doesn't really matter. Jim Bob's far enough ahead, and Vaempyress has so few options that there's really no wrong move here.
Yeah, this is 100% Jim Bob's game to win, barring any huge disastrous mistakes, which I'm struggling to come up with any huge disastrous mistakes for him to make.
Yeah, I don't know.
There are some few things he could clean up.
There we go, Vaempyress going nowhere fast, she says, GG, and that was completely reasonable again. Stalled out, and it is always a little bit risky, and we've seen, so this is kind of interesting, because we've seen 2 games here, where the first game, Vaempyress waited too long to get into that power. It got to such a high price, and she wasn't able to control it, and control her debt quickly enough, and protect that power quickly enough. And in this game, kind of felt a little bit like the opposite, because
A little bit of an
nothing else she was doing